Just a quick video to discuss part of the problem with the Adobe subscription model, as I think it's probably the most challenging issue that photographers face, and I don't see it talked about nearly enough. So much of the discussion is about the Adobe subs model and its pricing. To some of us, it's quite high. To others, it's a palatable expense. To many, I'm sure it's the only way to get your hands on a legitimate copy of decent image editing software, because most of the alternatives are expensive to buy outright. There's a few outliers, perhaps, but generally speaking, this is another big cost for a photographer. Initial cost, though, is not the biggest issue. The ongoing issue is reliance. I think I need to explain that. Let's say that you had a sub for 2 years and Lightroom has worked its way into hundreds of your images. The non-destructive edits are just sitting there in a catalogue that you fastidiously back up and maintain and archive and so on. The longer you use it, the longer you become reliant on it. The longer you have it, the more images it's responsible for, the more edits that are locked into it. You can probably see where I'm going here. What if suddenly one day you can't afford the subscription anymore? What if one day, say 15th of January 2025, a month or so ago, what if the cost of renting this software suddenly jumps by 50%? What do you do then? Now, yeah, 50% is a bloody big hike. What if you were given just 6 weeks notice? What if Adobe grabs you by the short and curlies and says, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" Because make no mistake, this is what happened. You were suddenly looking down the barrel of a doubling of the price of the software that you only rent. Not only do you only rent it, but you had become totally reliant on it. Not necessarily for your future work, but for all of your previous work. Guess what? Adobe knew this. It's quite standard practice. It's playbook stuff. Just Google what Nestle did in Africa with baby milk to see how utterly awful these kind of things can be. But once you're hooked, that's it. It takes a lot of effort to unhook. And there's a lot of potential losses involved in moving away, because you have so many images that you will lose access to. Even if you export them all in high resolution TIFFs, so you have the final images, you've lost all the edit data that went into them. And all of these massive TIFF files or DNG files swallow a lot of hard drive space. Do you have that much? Can you afford to go out and buy that much? Do you have the time to export them all? Let's face it, there's lots of downsides to divorcing yourself from a software subscription. It's not like cancelling your gym membership or kicking Netflix into touch, because these things have no legacy holdbacks. In fact, I would actually argue that such things can drive up the use of Jack Sparrow versions of this kind of software, just so that people have access to the work that they've already done. Another reason to stay is the quite large learning curve to move to something else. You'll be spending months comparing and saying just how easy it was in Lightroom compared to the clunky way that you do the same thing in a new application. Believe me, I know. I've done this with Premiere, I've done it with Lightroom, and to some extent Photoshop. Moving from Premiere to DaVinci was quite hard, but manageable. Swapping from Lightroom to DxO Photolab was slightly easier, but only because image editing is a lot less complicated than video editing. I'm now trying to use Affinity Photo rather than Photoshop, and I think it's the hardest part. Largely because I began using Photoshop in around 1993, and that's a bloody long time. However, I am now saving nearly £60 a month, and whilst I really miss Photoshop, and specifically the generative fill, I don't miss it enough to hand over £15 a month to get it back. Because it's not just £15 a month, it's my invitation to Adobe to hold me over a barrel again. And I don't want to re-enter that toxic relationship. If you're interested in moving over to DaVinci Resolve, it's absolutely free. If you're moving away from Lightroom, I really, really urge you to take a good look at the DxO Photo Lab software. And in conjunction with some of the other things, it will do pretty much everything that Lightroom will do and more. And it's a one-time purchase. You buy it, it works forever. I haven't really got to grips with Affinity yet. I'm using it partly, but I'm in that stage of, oh bloody hell, why can't they do this differently kind of stage, rather than it being absolutely intuitive to me. There is a big learning curve. I can't possibly suggest otherwise. £60 a month to me is a great deal of money. You know, I don't earn a great deal of money off the channel, and for 3 years it was making a big loss. So cutting these subscriptions down to next to nothing meant an awful lot to me. And now I'm not spending the money. I absolutely do not regret making that decision, except possibly with Photoshop. But as I say, you can't have everything. And I didn't use Photoshop daily, so it didn't matter too much. Anyway, I hope that rambling and thought process gives you some kind of idea of my thinking and reasoning. I am putting out videos alongside most of the weekly videos now that show you how I'm editing photos, and they are in the membership side of the channel, so you do need to I'm afraid pay me in order to see those, but there's lots of other material in there. There's at least a year's worth of additional short weekly videos in there, and yeah, there'll be probably 2 more a week now, because there'll be an editing video and there'll be a short midweek one as well. So thank you very much for your support, and yeah, hope to see you commenting, etc. going forward. You take care, and we will see you on the next one. Who's we?